you're going to pay us $1,200 or we're going to have you arrested. No judge, no jury, no citation, no grand jury, no indictment, no criminal code, no court, nothing. Just like the NDAA, just like the Patriot Act. That they swore was for Al-Qaeda only, and now they go, you know what it is for gun owners, returning veterans, libertarians, conservatives, and born-again Christians. I've got the whole list right here in an incredible article, 14 pages long, by Washington's blog, that is the master of aggregating all the proof. How many rights have Americans really lost? And it goes over 14 pages with links to FBI.gov that's public. And basically every activity is now an act of terrorism. I'm gonna read some of this after I get into this news and take your calls. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Federal government moves to disarm veterans. It's no secret the Department of Homeland Security considers returning veterans a threat to the established order. They said as much back in 2009 when they wrote in a special report exposed by Alex Jones and the alternative media. Returning veterans pose combat skills and experience that are attractive to right-wing extremists. DHS INA is concerned that right-wing extremists will attempt to recruit and radicalize veterans in order to boost their violent capabilities. They go on to say they're the #1 threat. Following the case of veteran Brandon Robb, who was abducted for just criticizing Obama and held in a psychiatric ward for Facebook post and government considers subversive, police in Ohio seized a veteran's guns after he was adjudicated to be mentally incompetent, despite the fact that a Veterans Administration psychiatric evaluation determined he was not mentally ill. Since the veteran is active in the so-called Truth Movement or Patriot Movement, it is assumed involvement in this field is part of a reason why he's been targeted for psychiatric evaluation, Paul Joseph Watson wrote. According to constitutional attorney Michael Connolly, we're going to get on, and he has the official letters, the government is now moving to strip veterans it determines to be mentally incompetent of their Second Amendment right to own firearms. Connolly cites a letter sent by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to hundreds, perhaps thousands, it's thousands, of America's heroes. You're the enemy of the foreigners that took this country over. A determination of incompetency will prohibit you from purchasing, possessing, receiving, or transporting, this is from the letter, a firearms or ammunition. The VA letter states, if you knowingly violate any of these prohibitions, you will be fined, imprisoned, or both, pursuant to the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, publication L number 103-159, as implemented under 18 United States Code 924A2. Now, that's a misappropriation of it. When Antonio Villaraigosa, the mayor's office, said, give me $1,200, I'll arrest you or sue you or give you a bad credit report, it threatens all three. There's no code, no nothing. So see, it's even a bigger fraud. And again, I've confirmed all over the country, the police show up and say, you can't be building in that barn. Well, I've always lived here. Well, we got horses in there. We say it's condemned. If I see you in there, you're arrested. You go, well, that's not been adjudicated. That's not been... Listen, you go in there again, I'm going to arrest you. Do you understand, boy? And see, they're just testing to see what they can do. And again, people are like, why are they doing this? Simultaneously worshiping the veterans. Well, that's to make the establishment look good. Their agenda, they use the veterans like wallpaper on. They package it. It's sugar coating on cyanide pill. Because you can say what you want about these wars. I know the troops. I've never been a hind kisser when it came to the military until I became older and more sophisticated and found out biggest part of my audience is the military. Because they live in the real world, folks. They see the training for gun confiscation. They know about government lies. And they know I've studied all this, and they respect this show because they realize I know what I'm talking about. They go into classified briefings here, everything they could see in a video I made 14 years ago because I have all the classified sources. And not just classified sources, police chiefs like L.A. Philippus, who was in Army intelligence himself, San Antonio police chief, Thomas Sanchez, intelligence in Vietnam, county manager in Kingsville, Texas. They come to him and say, we're training for martial law. He blows the whistle. I mean, I've talked to hundreds of these people. Travis County SWAT team commander. I went and told him what was coming. He laughed at me. I said, all right, here's my card. You call me when they come. Because I knew they'd been going to every major city in Texas. And I looked that they'd been to all the big ones. Next had to be Austin. And I knew about the program. This is a Pentagon infiltration of everything. And it's not our Pentagon. It's foreign run. The Pentagon's over the Rural Affairs Commission now with Homeland Security. And what do they train for? Folks, they have rural affairs meetings that are in the news where they invite all the old farmers and people in at the local hotel, have coffee, donuts for a 2-day event, lunch, everything's provided. And the first day's al-Qaeda training videos, the first few hours, then they go right into, are your neighbors growing marijuana? Are your neighbors spanking their kids? Are your neighbors criticizing Obama? And these people are videotaping this and putting it on YouTube, freaking out. I mean, imagine being World War II and Korea and Vietnam vets and you want to fight terrorists, which are non-existent, they're run by the globalists. You go to an FBI event and an hour into it, they're bad-mouthing George Washington. And they're there to see how you act. You're being assessed. You didn't know why you got invited to that InfraGard meeting. You're being assessed at a briefing. You're being put in a target sheet. You're being like, hey, well, the FBI wants you to come down and talk to us. They don't do that. Oh, yeah, the church is inviting especially veterans, down to meet with the FBI at the local hotel or the local VFW. Lunch is provided. And you get there, and it's like, I'm Captain Johnson, former Special Forces, now assigned to FEMA. We want to talk about the threats to America. Here's al-Qaeda training videos. You don't like al-Qaeda, do you? Now, let's talk about the first terrorist. That was George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Well, there's people like that today, and they say they're not going to go along with inoculation during an emergency or gun confiscation. I mean, I've got these training videos. I put clips of them out in my films, Road to Tyranny. Everybody's sitting there going, what is this? And they're like, and you can see a guy behind the other guy watching. Okay, Tom Jones, Bill Brown just looked like they were upset. I'm going to talk to him during a lunch break. And they're like, hey, Bill Brown, how you doing? So what do you think about this meeting? You're being assessed, folks, like you're in a torture chamber. That's next down the road. I don't like this. I don't like bad-mouthing George Washington. I hear you. I hear you. Well, we won't be needing your help anymore. Thanks a lot. You're targeted as an enemy. They pat you on the butt as you go out. And everybody else like, well, I got a nice flock of useful leaders who'll sit here. And that's why people go, it doesn't make sense. Why are they bad-mouthing George Washington an hour into the meeting? This is universal. To see. And if you don't like George Washington, they go, hey, you're with us now. And like even those guys are like, well, we don't really dislike George Washington behind the scenes. We're just doing that to see if there's extremists because we know they'll get upset by that. You understand, right? And you've just been introduced to hating George Washington. Because you're introduced to the lie of, see, we can say we're against George Washington, but we really aren't against George Washington. You understand? We just stand for everything he stood against. I'm going to get back to the actual manuals and the actual letters to start the Civil War when we come back. Toll-free number to join us. I want to know what you think about this. Veterans, police, and active duty. Do you see the PSYOP? I know you're smart enough to get it. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. And we got big news next week. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Fall in love with food storage savings this February at BePrepared.com. Going on now, BePrepared.com saves you over $300 with a premium 1,600 one-year supply, including 126 cans of freeze-dried and dehydrated food. Or get the new gourmet 14-day food supply with a full 2,000 calories per day with pre-planned menu. Stroganoff and noodles are 20% off with purchase of 6 or more. Mountain House pork chops are back in stock at 34% off. Pack your own low-moisture foods with our new do-it-yourself Super Pail Combo on sale at 22% off. Add to your preparedness with minor surgery kits at 15% off. And wool blended blankets are only $11.89. The February Fall in Love with Savings sale ends February 28th at BePrepared.com. For contents and details, visit BePrepared.com or call 800-999-1863. The choice is clear. Be unprepared or BePrepared.com.
Now there's an amazing new natural antibiotic every person must have.
It's Cells Alive Silver Solution, and it destroys over 650 hard-to-kill viruses, fungus, bacteria, and much more. Cells Alive Silver Solution has no expiration date, is great for emergency kits and storage shelters, and comes in 8 or 16-ounce bottles. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. Hempusa.org, 100% chemical-free superfoods and unique health products.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
In an emergency situation, would you drink contaminated water? You could if you had the amazing LifeStraw from MyPatriotSupply.com. LifeStraw is the most advanced personal water filter available today. It filters contaminated water from almost any source. LifeStraw is lightweight and compact, perfect for hiking, camping, or in an emergency like a flood. LifeStraw is easy to clean, comes with a 1-year warranty, and has been used worldwide since 2005. Get the amazing LifeStraw personal water filter at MyPatriotSupply.com. Plus, check out Survival Seed Vault, 20 seed varieties for only $37.95, Tatler canning lids, long-term storable foods as low as $69.95, and much more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Enjoy stress-free shipping on all orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927 or visit MyPatriotSupply.com. That's 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence.
Let me break down basically what's happened. They've taken a Soviet Eastern Bloc takeover model, how the Soviets would infiltrate and take down a country from within, and integrated it with Western teaching of how they would try to go into countries and keep them from falling to the Soviets or take them over. But they're going and assessing all the police, all the military, and it's been ongoing for 20 years, but now it's accelerating to the order of 10. And they are going around now finding out locally who is going to not go along with this. And again, they say over-the-top stuff so you'll identify yourself. So police, that's some good intel for you. I'm sure you already knew this. Common sense. If you want to stay on the police force, act like you hate George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. And act like you hate freedom. If you're in an intelligence unit or a special events unit that have been federalized, those special response units, you're not going to get that job unless you just act like a total authoritarian cult member. But they do psychological studies as well. I mean, they really know who is and who isn't. But after they've done that, they're now expanding to the next group of detectives and managers and captains and others. And then they're going to expand, as they've done in L.A. and New York and Chicago, down to beat cops, who England's already done this. They are now political enforcers, spying, sitting in restaurants, listening to people. It's all in the news. You'll hear, man arrested for racial comment to his wife. And you're like, well, that's racist. Good arresting. You know, he said something about foreigners. It's the end of free speech. I mean, Michael Savage is banned from entering England because he criticized Muslims. Well, I mean, isn't that the free speech of a European, of a Brit, of an American? Whether you agree with his statement or not, you see, that's just an example of this. And that's what's now coming here. And the magnitude, let me show you up at InfoWars.